Alrighty, folks, we have a series called Ask a Millionaire, and now we are going to ask a millionaire, can you start or can you become a millionaire if you don't actually wake up and start making the decisions until you're 40? A lot of the folks out there talk about, hey, if you're 20 years old, put 5% away and blah, 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 compounding, you become a millionaire at 60. What if you were starting at 40? Is it possible, Dion?
So I think it comes down to the path that you choose, right? When you talk about decades for compound interest to kick in, it's easier. It's not easy, but it's easier to invest in stocks when you're in your 20s and have it turn into millions when you're in your 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And I go off of the quote, we have two financial lives. The second one starts the day we realize we only have one financial life.
And there's a brain twister.
And that's when we have to pay attention to our finances and start taking charge. And sometimes it's make better decisions. But sometimes for me, what it was I'm one of those guys where I figured, okay, I'm working 12 to 15 hours a day and my spouse is not. So I will let her handle the finances. And that worked out great for me. And so after getting divorced at 40 and being a single parent with 3 kids and realizing, okay, I need to be in charge of this. I can make decisions that actually can impact the future. I was 40. I was starting from a position of a lot of bad debt that I didn't know about. And I got laid off from law enforcement, started a job not making a lot of money. It took 8 years to reach bad debt free and financial independence, right? Where work was optional. I could change jobs if I wanted to. I worked for 4 more years and then retired at 52. So yeah, it took 12 years. If you're 40 and you're thinking, I'd like to retire and it better happen before 41, that's not going to happen. If you wake up at 40, it's a decade. And that's the thing I say often. And I usually relate it to 5 years, but let's say it with a decade. When you're 40 or 50, you're going to be alive in 10 years. You should start investing like it because you will thank yourself. I want to go back and hug myself. Now, every day when I wake up and I go, what do I want to do today? Because it's anything. I could literally do anything, anywhere, travel anywhere. Some days, anything is nothing. But most days, it's one thing. That's actually something I learned on my teaser into early retirement. I was taking month-long vacations with my brother. And after the first week in a new country, when you've done the main things you've researched online, every day after that, it was, I want to do one thing.
Right.
I think I don't want to say this because I don't want to give an excuse to younger people, but I almost think there's motivation when you don't start until your 40s or 50s, because this is when you finally start to realize time happens faster.
Yeah.
Right. When we're young, it's like, okay, summer vacations, 16 when you can drive, 18 when you can, 18 when you can move out, 21 when you can legally buy things in certain states. Like all these things happen fast, and all of a sudden it's decades that go by. Yeah. And when you're in your 40s and 50s, you realize that even if you don't want to retire, it's coming.
Yeah.
But there was a day you can't work anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's absolutely possible. And you are obviously living proof, not only becoming a millionaire, but a multimillionaire starting at 40. But I do think you're right. I think you've got to pick your lane, right? Leverage is helpful, right? You can buy a house hack with only putting 5% down. And what people don't really, here's the math, folks. Let's say you buy $100,000 house, you put 5% down, $5,000. Let's just say over the next 2 years, it goes up 20%. That's 20 grand. But when you look at that compounded on your down payment, it's 400%, right? It's tough to do that in stocks. You need time on your side, right? I think, starting it when you're 20 or you got a job and your 401k, the math is on your side, especially if you get a company match. But you know what? You're starting at 40. You need some leverage, smart leverage, cash flow leverage. But very, very helpful. So yes, it is possible to become a millionaire starting at 40 from a bad spot. Is that correct, Dion?
Yeah, so it's actually kind of what I was going to start with, and then my memory kicked in. But it's the path you choose to reach financial freedom, right? I think if you're in your 20s or 30s and you start a business, 9 out of 10 fail. So if you fail, you start over. And if you fail, you start over. And if you fail, you start over. Like Elon says, you fail a dozen times until one kicks off, right? Well, when you're 40 or 50, that doesn't sound as attractive. Not only do you not have the time left to fail and start over a dozen times, but do you have the energy, right? What's your T level at in your 40s and 50s to go out there and hustle every day, 15 to 18 hours to get your business off the ground? The second thing is stocks, right? I didn't have the decades for it to compound, and I didn't have the income. Most of my working years, I never made more than $60,000 until the last couple when they were trying to bribe me into staying once I had financial freedom. But with real estate, in a decade, I invested $320,000 from my own sources of income, like a W-2 side hustle, right? That's what I invested. And we talk about being a millionaire in 2020, net worth passed $1 million, 2023, because of inflation, it passed 3 million. That's great. It's fun. It's a net worth thing. But here's what $320,000 invested did for me. A little over $20,000 a month in pure cash flow after the pie tie, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, expenses, and setting aside for future repairs and maintenance, right? That's the thing where, can you do this after 40? Yes, but would you rather scrimp and save until you're 60 or 65 investing in stocks with every penny? Now, if you have high income, it might happen faster. So yeah, it's a viable thing. If you are an entrepreneur and you've tried several businesses and now you think you've got the one that's going to go, sure, I didn't do that. I failed twice at starting businesses. But I chose real estate because of that leverage. I only had to invest 320,000. And if you use the 4% rule, I've generated more than $5 million invested in stocks with $320,000 invested in real estate. So I had to look at my my time horizon on when I wanted to reach financial freedom and choose the path that made the most sense to me.
Folks, it is absolutely possible. Choose your lane, understand leverage, be smart, no alligators. We don't bet on appreciation. We understand inflation's a feature, not a bug. Dion, where can people find you?
Right here on YouTube, Dion Talk Financial Freedom.